Hello guys, we want to learn how to make waterfall jacket. Uncle Sirak will be demonstrating. The video is self-explanatory, so just take your time and watch it all over again as many times as possible so you really understand how to go about it. It's not difficult. The measurement you need are just your shoulder to shoulder, the length of the jacket, and maybe your bust or hip, whichever one is the widest, because you will need it to cover um, your hip. All right, it's a free kind of jacket, so a free one size can maybe fit up to 3 people. Now you put your fabric on fold, that is, you have two of them and fold it on bias. I'm sure the length of, if you are using Ankara of 45 inches, it should be enough for the full length of your jacket. When you are folding it, you fold it on bias. You see the illustration there? Fold it on bias. The bias should not be too much so that the flare won't be too full. But if you want it very full, then you have to make the bias, you have to fold it more so that you have more flare, more fullness. All right, so you take the length of how long you want it to be. Now notice that it's on bias, so when you are cutting drawing your line, the shoulder line, you need to make it straight, and then it's from that point that you are going to measure the armhole length. That is where your arm will pass, and then of course you cross check your bust to be sure it's correct. You have to cross check your bust, and you know it's not a tight fitted garment, so it shouldn't be too tight on your bust. Okay, so you check your shoulder measurement, and of course with the seam allowance, then you drop about 1 inch below that first line, and you slope the line down. When you slope it, so that it will hang properly on the shoulder, that is the reason you are sloping it. Okay, so next you draw the armhole. So it depends on your armhole. You may be 8, you may be 7, you may be 9. It depends on what size you are. Okay, notice that where the armhole is, that is the side seam. That side will be the side seam, but because it's a free jacket, there's no need cutting it out. You just allow it to be joined like that, so that you'll be working only on the armhole. So you just remove that top part, and then you remove the armhole. But do not slash open the side seam. Do not cut open the side seam. Leave it the way it is. All right, then we are now going to look at the front part of it. Now you are going to determine how full or how long you want your waterfall to look like. The pleated side of it at the front. Okay, the back is virtually straight, so there is no design at the back, but for the front you are going to determine how long you want it to be or how full you want it to be. In this case, Uncle Sirak is going to take the measurement from the center back. Okay, just adding something to the already or the measurement you already have. It's just like maybe doubling your pattern or your body is here, whatever you have here, just add an extra to it, because that is what, that excess is what you are going to have the fold at the front. So make sure you have that excess. You can cut out the remaining one so that you'll be able to work properly on the table. Now the next thing is you draw out the neck and make sure it's wide enough, 3.5 or thereabout. Make sure it's wide enough that it won't be too tight on your neck. So you start by marking out the back neck. The back neck with about 1.5 inch below that top line. So that will be the back neck width. You now when you are cutting, please do not cut the fabric under. You folded it twice, so do not cut the two lower layers. You only cut the upper layers, which indicate the back of the dress, but the front, which is the one below, please do not cut that one, because that is where you are going to add the waterfall itself. So you determine where the fold will start. Okay, determine where the fold will start. If you want it to start at your half length or below your half length, at your half length is the best. It will flow nicely. Okay, it will flow nicely. So you determine where you want it to start flowing and mark that place, or maybe just below your half length, and then mark a straight line toward the other side of your fabric. That is the front now. Okay, then lift the back side of it, because you are going to start drawing. Where you are drawing now is going to be the front, so you lift it up, you lift the back side up and use your ruler to draw a straight line from the neck, that is from NP to where you wanted your fold to start. Okay, how wide the fold will be. All right. Okay, now remember I said the edge here is the side seam. Don't forget that, so that you won't you won't mix it up. Okay, so trim that out. Remember, this is the center front. Okay, so mark that your side seam so that you don't forget where it is, especially when you are sewing. Just mark it at the side seam. Now open everything. Remember I said do not cut the side seam. Do not cut out the side seam. Open it up the way it is into two. Fold it. The center back folded, the center front not folded, and then you start from the center back and draw your curve. Start from the center back and draw your curve to that point at the center front where you stopped, or where you actually wanted your fold to start. You draw your curve. By the way, you can decide to make it straight, square, if you don't want this curve, but this one there's a curve. There's a curve there, so you cut out at that line that you have drawn at the curve area. Do not forget the side seam. Always ensure you indicate it, because when you are sewing you need to know where it is. Alright, so you see the shape beginning to form. Now if you notice, the armhole is just open, there is no joining at all. Okay, so that side seam that you marked, fold back the fabric the way it was when you were cutting it. You see the excess there, that excess is what will form the waterfall. That excess is what will form the waterfall. So you hold it and flip over to the front side of the jacket. You can now form your waterfall. The folding starts from NP, your neck point. It doesn't start from the center, it starts from the neck point. Okay, so just keep folding it forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward. You see, it forms a nice drip. It forms a nice drip. Ta-da! That looks simple, right? I'm sure you have fun making this. If you notice the drape is not looking nice, you can trim it again to make it the steps to form properly. Remember, this is freehand, so there will be a lot of adjustment here and there. Okay, it's time to sew. This inner fabric is cut exactly the same way. Remember, this is a free jacket and simple one, so the inner jacket is made exactly the same way that the outer one was cut. So you just carry it and place on the inner fabric and cut, and then you start sewing. From where? From the armhole. You start your sewing right from the armhole. You sew the armhole. After sewing, you top stitch it. Remember, it's the armhole, so you need to trim it so that it will be neat. And please iron at this point. Press it properly. Iron it and make it neat. And then you hold the wrong side. You sew the wrong side of the fabric, that is putting the right sides together. That is the shoulder now, because you are trying to turn it. You are trying to turn it, so you just put the two shoulders right side together, sew it and turn. Remember, there is no side seam, so you just have to iron the pleats, the drapes if you want. I prefer you iron it so that it will come out very fine.